I guess I want to name this one to Mr. Locario and Steve the Dean. Let's see if they was whatever it is, but basically, I may post it or I may just use this for reference so I can remember what I kind of want to ask, what I want to ask them. So I preface it and me going to a real good no theory. I want to actually ask 1950. You know what I'm saying? In my notes, let me say I put the imprint in the first, but beyond that, it's more like I was inspired though. Is my point. That's why I wanna ask the question, but like on the really no theory, it's like ask the question first. So even just to preface it beyond that, it's more so even just a thought idea I had, for instance, what I would like to get their insight is what I'm saying on just their perspective, if you will. So, like, it was a caller who said, yeah, I mean, like introducing polygamy. So I'll say, what's the perspective on? Well, I'm just giving my insight on this. Like, say, all right, word. So the girl, right? Arjalicia, fuck it, let's get it. And I'm gonna give insight and perspective to the caller, but beyond that, it's like, so I told the girl about polygamy like within the first month I met her. But say I told the girl about polygamy 5 years later. So for me, it was like God brought to me. So it's the same way, like the knowledge of polygamy, for instance, or just the insight. I went to the Bible, boom, word, biblical man. But I would say the first year, would say the first month. It was actually the first month, but even before we met, actually, but probably like a month or so. We'll say before we met, but this is before we met. But even like so. You know, I say like how you start, not so how much you finish, but like the foundation was rooted on that. But the issue with me was like getting her to understand, like not understand, but even me. I'm gonna go like me, for instance, understanding like how do I? Because you know how like a young woman, goodness, she was young and good looking, goodness gracious. So me having that insight on like multiple women, but if you think about it, a young woman, I'm a young friend, goodness gracious, this is a young woman being able to say, if she did have just say she had an insight from God about multiple men, right? Multiple guys. It would be more simple for her to draw in multiple guys. So the thing with me was, it wasn't really simple for me to draw in, especially to the capacity she was drawn into me. So that's where it was interesting for me to be like, I'm dealing with multiple women, and I'm saying like if I say I'm dealing with multiple women, but to my thing is allowing her to have confidence in the God-friendness of it. But we don't get into the God-friendness of it, because you know, shout out to boom boom boom. But basically, for me to even have confidence in it, so her for me to be, which to be honest, I'm saying for one woman her whole life, for me to be with multiple women. But I'm gonna just say, basically in the reference, would it be different? And this is the question I'm gonna propose, and I'll make it short. So basically, this is the difference. We'll go to shout out, like I said, to Mr. Locario and CVD Williams for it was a caller, but to think about the question. So CVD Williams and Mr. Locario, I'm gonna propose the question to y'all. What would your not insight, but opinions be on, say, me specifically, which I did, but I'm saying, say I proposed told the young lady, you know what I'm saying, right? Say the day we met, right? Polygamy. My only point is, the only point what I'm making is the video I got it from. I can even link the video if anything, but and the time and everything. But about polygamy, but then at the same time, her still, that's the only thing about it, which is interesting. Her having a tough time grasping it. And then even me, like I said, having a tough time to like understanding myself to the point I can be confident in myself in making her confident. And like I said, for me, being confident in that, but then at the same time, well, let me not get into that in mind, but yeah, her being confident in that. So we'll just say since the first day, but then, so we'll say it was only until 8 years later when I became confident in that. So me having an insight and the knowledge even, but the insight on it 8 years before, but I told her the day we met. But so 8 years later, I actually grasped it. So then I even, like, on some real shit, I even accepted it more so myself. Because for me, like, if you like a young lady, you don't want to be chasing other chicks, or even focused on that when you have a chick right in front of you. So it's like, sometimes it's like if you don't want to even focus on something else and lose something that you really appreciate. Well, so that's a kind of interesting thing. So picture, I mean, yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing. Because all I'm saying, if say you get an insight on polygamy and seeing the different things about it, and that's kind of a different thing, like in the sense of, we'll say the young man who got the insight on it, to actually actualize it and act it out is a different thing. Because to care about a young woman, but then to really instill confidence in her. So like I said, it's kind of just a toss-up type of question. I just think that to ponder on. I just say if right? I told her that, and she was, she got to be a help me on that, even in that journey. So if I bring that to her the first day with me, as opposed to, that's where you go to like the answer and the question and the answer, but whatever. I told her that the first day we meet, first day we even meet, I mean, as opposed to, okay, and then I say I find out more, so wow, this is really coming together, say 8 years, and then 10 years, it's like really coming together. But say I tell her that the first day we meet, and then on 8 years into it, we'll just say it's really coming together. But if I say, I tell her 8 years into it, and when we first meet, right, it's on some, it's me and you, and it's the monogamous vibe. You don't have to say monogamous, the word, but, you know what I'm saying? 8 years into it, a girl could, you give it, that's why you can, you know what I'm saying, more so just, if that's your, say, lifestyle, if it was a lifestyle, it's, you know how you start, you kind of gotta be consistent with it. So, for me personally, yeah, like I told the girl about that, but she always known like that. She always known that, and even in the back of her mind. But also, if I go kind of back and forth with like the monogamous vibe, it's only because she really means a lot to me. So, in that sense, even with God, I'm like, just to be honest, I'm like, if you have more for me, Lord, you know what I'm saying, it's cool. But I don't want to go out my way to try to get more, as opposed to, because like the same way you presented the girl to me, I'm going to nurture and take care of that. So if you bring me more, I'm gonna nurture and take care of that. But at this thing at hand, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, in that sense,